This is Barry Andrews from Shriekback, here in the garden of a nice pub down in a little village in West Sussex, very near Lewes, where today we began recording our 14th album. We didn't come here purely because of the name, but as you'll see, it is very apposite. Yes, as you see, we're at the sign of the Laughing Fish, La Pêche qui rit.
Okay, I've got a question here about the beginning of Flowers of Angst sounding like a part of the song Queen of People's Hearts.
Queen of People's Hearts being a
Queen of
Ven?
No, it was Queen of People's Hearts was a track I recorded with a guy called Jeff Woolley, who I do library music stuff with usually, and I'm surprised you found it. That's very resourceful, because I think it only ever came out on one of Dave Allen's rather esoteric combinations when he was a label boss,
right,
for that 20 minutes.
Was Queen of People's Hearts, was this an attempt at Lady Di exploitation?
It was totally that, yeah. It was basically bits cut up from her famous Panorama interview.
Yes, the Martin Bashir interview.
Yes, that's the one. And put onto a sort of electro-ish backing track. It's very funny. I'll play it to you. So the answer to the question is, if it does sound like that, it's certainly not deliberate, because Flowers of Angst was built on a backing track that Barry made, and he's never heard Queen of People's Hearts.
I'm about to.
He is about to. Okay, where were we?
Perfect
recording session.
Least fave Shriekback song.
I don't say it because, I'll get into trouble if I do.
Go on then.
It was one of cars though, wasn't it?
Push the button, push the button.
I'm not going to say it.
I think my least favourite ones are the ones sort of from the beginning when we didn't really... Actually, yeah. The one where there's a sort of slight sinking of the heart whenever it's mentioned is Kind of Fascination.
Really?
I really like that. It's one of my favourites, actually.
What's wrong with that?
Again, I was asked the other day about what was it, the idea of favourite songs and favourite albums and all that, and I thought actually it's the process of making it that I remember and that makes me think I fucking hate that song, rather than it's the finished article. I don't know. It was sort of trying to be like other things. I guess at the time I was trying to get that kind of funky London jazz is the preacher type thing going, and it still sounds false to me. Kind of Fascination.
Oh, okay. Polar opposite Shriekback song. I'm not sure what that means.
The favourite one.
Oh, okay. Favourite Shriekback song? Don't know. I quite like Everything That Rises. I like a lot of stuff off the new record.
Yes, we like that record.
Yes, we like that one.
I like Evaporation very much.
Oh, that's very good.
I suppose partly because it's it achieves something that we've never really done before and wasn't sure if we could do, and almost accidentally kind of got there. We have, however, wanked that very hard ever since, that particular groove.
Yeah, I think it'd be different every day, actually. If you ask me tomorrow, I'll say something else. Yeah.
I really like Hubris. It's my favourite track on Jam Science.
Yeah.
I think it's different. It's the most different track, and it's so deep, that song, and the atmosphere is fantastic. I think it's such a beautiful piece of texturally. It's beautiful.
It's kind of a relative of Evaporation in a way.
Yes,
musically.
It's got its DNA. Here comes dinner. Veggie burger.
Hey.
Dinner's arrived. We'll come back to this. Right, we finished our lunch, which was quite acceptable. And while we picked little bits of bolus out of our teeth, we'll attempt to answer some more questions.
Okay.
Actually, recently I think I had some kind of epiphany with David Bowie, and just thought, I always kind of grudgingly go, well, I know he does some great things, but and now I just realised he is great. You are great, David. You are. I've ceased to fight it.
Yeah. I've always been completely out of the closet David Bowie fan. He's the man, but gone off. Have we gone off?
No, it's just the screen.
But yeah, I had that moment. I think it was when his EMI bought his catalogue, and they put out a sort of greatest hits double cassette, as it was at the time. And I always had that thing with Dave Bowie. Like, I could probably do that, but he's a bit older than me, so he's a bit ahead.
Yeah.
And then they put this cassette out, which is like 30 killer tracks non-stop, and you realise even those albums that weren't particularly good have got at least one killer track on them.
Yeah.
And you kind of think, even if I make a brilliant album every year for the next 15 years, I still won't catch him. So yeah, okay, fair enough.
Props to you, Dave.
Yeah. Roxy music, early Roxy music. Big fan.
early Roxy music, really like. Love the sounds, love the atmosphere, the songs. Great with Brian Eno in the band. I think he got all the women at that time, so Brian Ferry was very jealous, I think. That's why he was not in the band anymore. But no, great stuff. Very dark, but very
We're supposed
original.
to, at this point, come out with something incredibly modern and groovy that will make us seem like we're more in touch. But
The wave pictures.
Cast of it.
Yeah.
Since I stopped living with my son, he was my conduit to what's actually going on. I've just sort of reverted to being an old fucker and who listens to the same records over and over again when I'm pissed on Spotify.
Lovely.
An enduring image now.
Yeah. Do any of you hate to fly in airplanes or helicopters? Fear of heights or dogs? Milk chocolate or dark?
I have a childlike faith in people who fly aeroplanes and service them and everything else, and so I have no fear whatsoever. Just go, I'm sure it'll be fine. These people know I rather enjoy flying, actually.
Yeah. Thank you.
And if I'm wrong, then it's probably going to be alright, isn't it? So I won't have very long to be frightened.
No.
Yeah, I like flying. I think we've got to do it in our job as well. I think there's periods of when I don't like flying, there's periods when I do like flying. But the thing is, once you're up there, then you're up there, you can't do anything about it. I think it's a nice area to lose yourself if you can, in a way of travelling, and just try and go somewhere else in your head. Don't think you're in a plane sort of flying high in the sky, just think you're somewhere else and you're alright, you know. I think that the pilot can get you to the destination in a safe way.
Heights or dogs? I'm pretty scared of heights, actually. Not very good with heights.
Yeah, me too. I'm not good with heights.
I'm alright with heights.
Really?
I do sort of rock climbing and stuff.
Bit.
Yeah, bit.
Right.
So you check your ropes and your knots, you're okay.
You'll be alright.
Yeah, you'll be
I
alright.
had no idea you did rock climbing.
Yeah, I do a bit.
Don't fucking horse.
No, I am. Milk chocolate or dark? Both. And white.
Wow. Dark. Always dark.
All chocolate.
Really?
Yes.
What do you listen to if you have any of that? What do you listen to if you're angry?
And or depressed. Same question about being depressed. I usually find that the Velvet Underground will have something to cover most things. And Captain Beefheart.
Really?
Yeah, it cheers me up.
I think reggae, 70s reggae, I like if I feel feeling down. Those boys got something kind of nice
Like
and
some classical
forgiving.
music.
Yeah.
Bit of Bach. Like that.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about it. Vaughan Williams.
Yeah.
I'm feeling down. Vaughan Williams. Everything's nice. It's the English countryside. It's sort of there's some darkness in it, but basically, life is beautiful, even in a kind of melancholy way. And you know, in the big perspective, what's it? You know, what are these little things all about? That's what RBW says to me. And Gilbert and Sullivan, I suppose. Taking me back to a childhood where everything was a lot simpler.
Do you have any pets? And if so, what kind and names?
I've got a pet. I've got a new dog. I've never had a dog before since I was a kid. And his name's Woolsey, and he's a Whippet cross. And he's very lovely and thin. And I'll shut up about him now.
I've got a dog too. I'm a confessed relatively new dog owner. I have a dog called Rowley, who is a black Labrador Retriever, who, as we speak, is recovering in hospital from a hip operation. So I'll be checking on him periodically throughout the day.
I don't have a dog, but we borrow a dog occasionally, and her name is called Bosky, and she's half husky and half collie, and she's fantastic. She's very funny. Likes to run after rabbits and pheasants, and basically polices our back garden so there are no cats in it. So if cats go in it,
Good.
they get chased out.
Woolsey can't see cats, really. They're just not. He's very young still, so yeah, all his predatory impulses are kind of on hold for the moment, I guess. He's being looked after by my son Finn at the moment, and Finn has a rather more strict regime with animals. So I'm hoping Woolsey's not going to be traumatised when I see him in a couple of days' time after we finish recording.
I've got two cats as well.
Do you?
Yeah. Called Angel and Skipper.
Skippy.
Skipper, yeah.
Why
Who
Skippy?
called him that?
Angel is this big, fluffy, black, partly Norwegian forest cat thing. Massive, big, fluffy, kind of dangerous black thing. And he was named Angel by one of my boys. And that was mainly when we thought it was a girl. And when we took her to be neutered, it turned out he was a boy. So he's a boy called Angel. It's kind of alright in South America, maybe not South London so much. And the other one's just a little monkey thing, very sweet.
Well, I've always had a dog since I was a child. The family always had a dog until I was up to about 20, 21. And they're great, they're great pets. I also try and pretend to be like a dog as well if I'm bored at home.
What, in the company of dogs or just
No, in
generally?
the general, sort of general.
Ball licking fun.
Yeah, it's good. You kind of pick up their mannerisms and their characters.
I'm going to dare him to do it. Come on, man, let's see it.
Occasionally run after cats in the garden if I'm sunbathing.
Okay, what else? What do you put brown sauce on? Quite a lot of things, actually. Your standard English greasy spoon, fare. I would put brown sauce on, and most definitely a bacon sandwich.
Yes.
The de rigueur brown sauce in it.
Fave and least fave foods.
I have no interest in beetroot. No time for it.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
And I guess shellfish really be my favourite. Anything that crawls on the bottom of the sea and eats shit, I'm up for it.
Okay.
Beetroot juice is good for you.
I've no doubt that it's very good for you, but yeah, I just can't get my taste buds around it.
I love most foods really. Pasta,
You just ate quite a lot of my chips.
chips. Yes, I've eaten half of Barry's chips. I mean, you know,
My favourite food is food that I haven't paid for.
that's a good. Yeah, me too.
What is Turkish delight?
I don't know. It's,
Narnian temptation.
it's a kind of jelly-like substance. I'm not quite sure what it's made of.
There's going to be a whole heap of sugar in it.
There's got to be a heap of sugar in it. And the
Gelatine?
maybe. The traditional one is sort of rose flavoured,
Yeah.
but comes in other flavours. I could put a call into my wife. She's big on Turkish delight.
Is she?
Yeah,
Right.
loves it.
I love
Sounds
it.
like
I
a
don't
euphemism, but hey.
What's the inspiration for Queen's Beast?
Queen's
Barry?
Beast was partly from the same place as The King in the Tree, Flann O'Brien's At Swim Two Birds, in which in these old Irish poems, I think it's King Sweeney who is the king in the tree, makes lists of things, and so does Finn McCool, lists of things that he is, which kind of get more and more surreal. So he says, I am man shout at a parting. I'm a spear shaft. And there's a whole list of inanimate objects that he apparently is. So I like the idea of doing that, and there are statues of various mythical animals, unicorns and griffins and what have you, and they're known as the Queen's Beasts. So I like the idea of fashioning a sort of mock heroic version of yourself that was going to be a newly invented Queen's Beast that would tie in with a sort of boastful kind of epic poem about yourself, in which you were all these different things, like a steel claw or a fire door or a big cake. That's what goes on in my head. Sorry.
Right, okay, here we go. What do you think of the great Cumberbatching currently taking over the estrogen supply of the world? Doctor Who or Sherlock, and which and why?
I think he's great. I think he's great in Sherlock Holmes. He's really fast, witty, mad, a very good actor. He's very strong.
It's part of the sort of rise of the great posh actor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of it about.
Yeah. So it's kind of to be deplored from that point of view, although I've nothing personally against him.
He's got a great name.
Yeah, it is a good
That's-
name.
Yeah, I think that's. I think he is what his name says he is. Really, he does it really well. He's quite original.
He Cumberbatch as well.
Yeah, it's a good name. It takes up a lot of space on the poster. Me!
Okay, we've given him, he
da-
gets
da-
enough
da.
publicity.
What's the worst drug combo you ever willingly did? And what or who made it the worst? Well,
Go-kart.
I'm put in mind of one of my favourite expressions, which I think I got from Billy Connolly, which is, there is no such thing as bad weather, only the wrong clothes. And I think if you apply that approach to your drugs, you're fine.
Remember where you heard it first, kids. Carl, you're bisecting.
Oh, I'm bisecting. Okay.
I'll be doing that.
Favourite American movies, genre, director, actor, actresses, and why?
Partial to a bit of noir, me. Obviously, 70s classics, Apocalypse Now, The Godfathers,
Blade Runner.
Yeah, watched that again.
Did you?
A couple of days ago.
Right.
Yeah, very good. One of the boys' girlfriends hadn't seen it, so she was strapped down and forced to watch it. I think it went well.
Well, she's not for your son, is she? If she can't see the merits of Blade Runner.
Really, quite. Fave porn actress.
Oh, there was one I sort of had a bit of a thing for one time.
Mary Billington.
Mary Millington.
Old
Is she
school.
a porn actress?
Yeah.
In the 70s?
Yeah.
Very interesting to watch. Quite original.
There's a woman called Rebecca something. She's beautifully kind of fragile, but kind of avid at the same time. Rebecca Linares, that's her name. Hi, Becky.
Trinity Loren. Big curvy girl, 80s I think.
All right. So you two are kind of retro porn or nothing?
No.
Or does current porn
No, that
kind of
just
imply that
popped
you were
into my
knocking
head.
one,
Just
knocking one out last night?
Anyway, least fave personality celebrity currently and of all time.
They need to choose on from there, really, aren't they? I suppose.
Least favourite celebrity. It's kind of like getting annoyed with the wallpaper, really. Isn't it?
is,
It
really,
doesn't sort of do anything.
No. Let's not answer that.
Mac or PC?
Oh, fuck off.
Well, you know. Favourite instrument and its evolution throughout the years?
Favourite instrument. I do really like the uilleann pipes. I think that's a hell of a sound.
What's that?
It's Irish bagpipes,
Irish
basically.
bagpipes, okay.
It's got a sort of wild, windswept sound. I always thought that if I had my time to do it again, I'd have a go at the uilleann pipes. Weird.
I like the hang drum, which is an instrument developed in Switzerland, which I play.
It's the flying saucer, isn't it?
It looks like a flying saucer or a wok, two woks sort of welded together. But it has a great ambient sound, kind of cross between Gambian drum and a steel drum. You get different types of tuning. Very difficult to get. They're very expensive on eBay now. I was lucky to get one about 10, 12 years ago, quite cheaply, brand new. And I'm always playing it. It's always a fresh sound. Never dates. So it's different.
Suits your style very much, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think, the hand drum. Can either of you float, sing, moving right along? Lou can actually, can't he? A little bit.
I think so.
It's very, very quiet throat singing when it's not mic'd up. That's what I discovered.
Oh, okay.
Because we toured with Yatra, the Siberian band, Tuvan band in the 90s, whose main man Albert is a throat singer, and so we'd quite often be in bars with Albert going, "Come on, Albert, do that thing you do," and you expect it to be, because on the stage it sort of hits you in the solar plexus like a big, heavy, deep thing, like a synthesizer, really, like a really deep synth. But in the bar, you can barely hear it above the music. So it's sort of interesting that it kind of developed in such a way that in a non-technical society, something like that would be kind of honoured, valued. Okay, and either of you play didgeridoo? Well, didgeridoo is sort of easy enough to get a sound out of, but it's infernally hard to make it sound continuously because you need the circular breathing. And well, I have had a go at that, but never mastered it.
I got dizzy when I had a go with it.
Did you manage to do it?
No, not really. Not because you've got to do the circular breathing, haven't you?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And no, not very good. I just felt like my head was exploding, really.
Although when we had the acoustic band with Mark Rowther, who was
brilliant.
a brilliant didgeridoo player, I got busted for drunk driving, and somebody had told me that if you could do the circular breathing, which Mark had been trying to teach me, then you could actually breathe into the breathalyzer, and it doesn't make the crystals go green. Anyway, I tried it and I passed, but it may not have been because of my circular breathing skills. Perhaps I was just a responsible driver.
Hey. Okay. Nemesis, parthenogenesis, a word that perplexed me as a teenager. Hang on. Blah blah blah. Did you arrive at this rhyme in a premeditated manner, or did it just kind of happen? A lot of bands who I've read interviews with admit that their genius lyrics were pretty much made up in the studio, improvised over the music.
It was made up in the studio, improvised over the music.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I remember Barry coming to the studio on his bike saying, "I've got this great song."
Really?
Yeah. We were at Lily Yard and we'd be messing around. I remember that you had the chords and that you came in to the studio on your bicycle and you were in such heaven that you got this pop song of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't recall thinking it was all that great at the time.
I think I recall that you were really, really happy about it.
Right.
Very, very excited. And you did the vocal there and then. You'd written it at home.
Yeah. But I remember sitting in the vocal booth at Lily Yard with a load of paper on the floor, doing like, that was probably like another verse or something, wasn't it?
Well, it may be the chorus that you were excited about.
Yeah.
Maybe that you crafted the chorus at home.
Yeah, that sounds about right, doesn't it? I remember coming out of the vocal booth and everyone sort of killing themselves laughing. I thought, excellent.
I think I may have introduced the word parthenogenesis on tour because I used to get very bored doing the sound checks, going 1 2 1 2, and I had a bunch of little picture cards which we in England used to get in packets of tea, and one of them was about some nature series, and it was
Hang on.
trundling sound.
There's trundling.
And one of them was a card about aphids and how they reproduce by parthenogenesis.
All right.
And I gave a detailed lecture in one sound check, which I'd like to think inspired you, Barry, even though you have no memory.
Amazing what osmosis is, isn't it?
Okay, here we go. If you could land in a space, aesthetic, sonic, experiential, in the moment of making the music, as defined by one of Shriekback's discs, which one would it be? Interesting.
Quite fancy Beyond Metropolis. That would be entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of like the idea of, especially cities, but places you've not been to before. And, I think in the mind space of that song, there's this kind of incredibly rich, almost like a very expensive, large comic book full of like these amazing metropoli. I'd quite like to hang out there for a bit, I reckon.
Be good.
The city of maps and lists. What do you... when you go down the pub, or you...
Yeah.
how do they run things on an everyday basis in the city of Maps and Ed?
Very organised, I suppose.
Inky.
Okay. I would like to ask, what do they live for? Huh?
That's us, I guess.
Oh, that's them being us. Okay. Life passes and we're here briefly. What do you do it all for? Or to put it, might be more Shriekbackian terms. We all have illusions to cling to. What are yours?
Is making things. I think that's the thing I get the biggest jollies from. It's just creating things that haven't been there before, and so long as I can carry on doing that, things can't be that bad, really. That's the illusion I've decided to make important.
Here is a phenomenon that should be. I've been thinking about. Do you think that reality can be defined by words? There are things or concepts that wouldn't exist if someone hadn't spoken up about and said, "What about this?"
Wittgenstein has lots of things to say about that. The idea of a private language, that you can't have a private language because everything has to relate to another thing in the outside world, and that has in turn to be, as it were, ratified by society. So reality and language is essentially a social concept.
I'd go with that, I think.
Okay.
It has been noted that I am a text-based entity. I find it very hard to grasp anything without a linguistic textual format.
Yeah. Are you when you go around art galleries, do you look at the description and the title before you look at the painting? I always do.
What about their life story and what?
Yeah, so, if there's something there, cause, well, even if it's just a title, I want the title. I want to sort of grab a chunk of language. And then, right, okay, this is so and so. This is a dog in the euphonium. And if there's more information, I'm happy with that. But I'll read the whole thing before I look at the painting.
Yeah. I find that hard, reading the whole thing and then looking at the painting. It's the painting that defines the moment for me. Really.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think.
Anyway, do you know what happened to Malaysian flight MH17?
You have an idea about this, Carl, don't you?
Well, I don't really want to say too much, but if you ask Dave Allen, you might, you'd be on the right track, I think.
Tall prized.
There's a weight off my shoulders.
We know Dave.
Yeah. And talking about flying, will Shriekback ever tour the US again?
Will we ever tour the US again? Well, there are problems, partly financial, partly personnel and geography wise, and sort of, I don't know, I myself feel like I've done probably enough miles on the rock and roll highway for one lifetime, and it doesn't sort of massively excite me to do that again. How do you feel, guys?
I like to. I think I always up for touring. If it's done, obviously it's got to be financially. The finance has got to be there to develop the band. We've got to have a lot of rehearsals. It's quite a big thing to do, really. I think everyone has to be really sure they want to do it. America's very difficult to tour, take on. It's such a big thing, and
it's, you were saying earlier, it's there's a visa thing,
It's a visa thing. It seems to be very expensive to get work visas in America. I haven't been there since 2003. Previous to that, I was touring America all the time since the early 80s. But I'd love to tour America again, playing. It'd be great. But it has to all feel right, and the structure has to be right. I think Shriekback did it with the World Domination tour, but the structure wasn't right, and it was all a bit shaky. I think it was quite a difficult tour to do.
The band was kind of thrown together.
The band thrown together, and I think regarding Shriekback, if there are any live concerts, it has to be really well rehearsed and thought about. So it, when people come and see us, they're just blown away.
You think those, in my mind, really good concerts of the mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
There was weeks and weeks of rehearsal. I mean,
and playing.
Fun, didn't we?
And
unless we can get to that level again.
Yeah.
The whole idea of it's anticlimactic, go out on the road, bash out Nemesis and My Spine, and get paid seems a bit kind of anticlimactic, really.
Right. Knowing what you know now, if you had a chance to change anything, what would you do differently in terms of the early years of Shriekback?
In terms of the
early years of Shriekback.
Sort of grown up a bit quicker. That might have been good. But then you say that.
Yeah.
So got to the oil and gold stage without the interim experiments.
Yeah. I don't know really.
I think there's a sense of the early days for me. I didn't really know what was going on. I just really, you
were not alone in that, Mark.
Well, exactly. And I think you had a record company and you had people making decisions for you, and you just wanted to play. Especially with me playing drums, it's really exciting. But that's all I thought about. The outside world and the managers and the record companies. It was difficult for me. I could never relate to any of them. I just wanted to play. I think these days, I think we appreciate more the value of being together as musicians, creative process together. Really, I think we seem to be a bit more on top of it all. I felt a bit lost in the early days until we got on the road. Actually, I think it's great when you're kind of a bit more in control, and also you appreciate the people around you as well. I think in those days, the early days.
I always found that going on the road was the point at which you start to lose control. The sound was all weird and you couldn't hear yourself, and you didn't have much of a sound check, and everyone sort of panics or gets fucked up or something, and then the whole thing is kind of, oh god, you're flying by the skin of your teeth, and maybe there'll be an audience and maybe there won't, and all that. Whereas in the studio, everything's a kind of known quantity, and you can start
safe.
You start to express yourself better, I think, than just kind of constantly firefighting.
Are there any songs that you loved while writing and recording them that didn't connect with fans in the way you thought they would? Some of them. I mean, whether good or bad, really. I mean, but currently one we're discussing is Beyond Metropolis, which seems to have
hit a chord.
Yeah, which 5.5 minutes of nonsense, some bogus Greek and Latin in it. I thought, okay, that's good. It's a good track.
Yeah.
But
imagine what the A&R department would have said.
Well, yeah.
Could be a single, but you have to get rid of all that Greek and Latin stuff.
And cut it down to 3 minutes.
It's too long.
It's too long and it's too stupid. So, yeah, I don't know. Anything I thought was going to be great and people really didn't like, I don't know.
I think Go Bang was seen as being a lot more bogus and plastic than I actually intended. We actually sort of meant it to be. And the idea of, maybe Get Down Tonight was obviously, there was a sort of commercial idea. Well, there was a commercial idea for everything, pretty much. But the idea of doing like a Casey and the Sunshine Band cover was not like a totally cynical move. I loved that song growing up. I loved Casey and the Sunshine Band. I thought it was fantastic. And the idea of actually, maybe what would happen if we actually tried to do a proper disco song and sort of put our spin on it. And the sort of pretty much universal disgust and hatred they evoked. That was a bit surprising, yeah. So yeah, it would have to be that one for me, I think.
Okay. If you could revisit one particular tune to remix or rewrite or redo, which would it be? I don't know. Because after a while they are what they are, I think. And then you think about the next one rather than redoing the old ones.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I guess, and there is the other thing, every time I finish a record, like Without Real String or Fish, it's always like, is it finished? Especially these days when you can carry on indefinitely, really. And I can't remember who said it, but someone said, you never finish a record, you just abandon it at some point. So at the moment, there are bits of my tunes on the new album that I think, I could have done that, could have done a bit more. Mainly my own fault for not doing things on time. But I'm sure in 6 months' time I'll kind of be thinking, yeah, it's meant to be like that.
Never have been.
It could never have been any other way. That would have been stupid. So generally, it's on to the next one rather than back to the last one.
I mean, back in the days when you had we've got 3 days to mix this, and that's it. And after that, there's no more money, so don't even think about asking for any. Then you did sort of leave things in a okay, that'll just have to do sort of way. But nowadays, you don't really. You can always come back and fuck around. So I wouldn't say there's anything really from the last 10 years anyway that changed. And like you say, those old things are kind of set in stone really. Greek Boys sounds like Greek Boys was meant to do.
Yeah.
I think the backing track for me on Malaria could be better now if it was done again. Yeah, don't particularly like it that much. I think it's kind of a bit. Well, I mean, the energy of the track is great, but it's just. I think the groove. It could be. It could feel better. For me, really. Because the grooves like Fish Below the Ice and Health, Knowledge, Wealth, Power are great. Malaria is okay for me. I think I'd like to do that one again. Actually, I could get it better, get it groove better.
Wow,
it's kind of intense. It's kind of a little bit too fast. So I think I can nail it better.
Reading list. What's on the Shriekback reading list? There was a question I missed earlier about what are you reading at the moment as well. So,
okay.
What are you reading at the moment, chaps? What's going on? What inspires you?
David Foster Wallace, man. He's my guru at the moment. I just can't get enough. I've read everything he's written and keep dipping back into it. Don't ever get to the bottom of it. It's just makes me just like hanging out with his mind, that guy.
I don't know that, so I'm going to have to do that. I've just finished Will Self's Umbrella, which I loved, and Barry's told me it's part of a trilogy with another one called Shark.
Yeah, I can't remember what the other one is, but yeah.
Loved that.
Carl bought me Shark for my birthday, which is fantastic, I would have to say. Mad modernism fucking coming at you. I don't know what's going on now, but yeah, come on, keep it coming.
I've read The Road recently.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What if,
he's
there's
so
nothing
bleak,
there anymore.
I'm revisiting Don DeLillo, actually.
Are you?
Because my eldest son's wanted some stuff to read and I gave him one of those. One of the many. Very, very beautifully written. Just perfect. Lovely, lovely. I've been reading J.H. Prynne,
Right.
who was my tutor at college.
Oh yeah.
And I've got his collected works, which is that thick.
Hang on. Oh right. Okay. Hurry up.
His collected works, a massive thick volume, and it's pretty impenetrable. He used to hang out with all the sort of beat poet guys,
Okay.
Charles Olson and probably Ginsberg, and the guy who started City Lights Books.
Ferlinghetti.
Yeah,
Was it?
yeah. So it's all a bit abstract, and well, a very comforting thing is it's like no matter what weird stuff we write.
You think that's weird?
You think that's weird? Check this mother out. So yeah, I dip back into that every now and then.
Oh, Wallace Stevens. Been having a look at him. He's pretty dense, but every now and then there's some little jewel of a thing that's worth the price of admission.
I have a particularly special place in my heart for the Tench Care Y Records era stuff. I'm curious how aware/confident you were at the time that you had tapped into something special. If you look back at that era with any particular fondness, and how you feel about that material today.
My first recording sessions ever, I think.
Yeah.
I was still wearing my engineering overalls at the time. I was doing
And a
the
special
wood
car
blocks
coat.
on feelers, covered in oil, and I just designed and built a bedpan washer in a hospital at the time, and then did an overdub on feelers.
There was no pose with Martin. He was working class.
They were all reading The Guardian. I was still reading the Daily Mail, so I
Yeah.
thought,
Fucking bunch of soft handies, southern bastards. That's what you thought. I don't know. I feel like it was we were trying our level best. It's the way you feel about yourself as a young person. I think kind of. Oh, look at him! He's trying really hard, and no, he got that right. But you're really fucking that up. And stop worrying about that, and start fucking working on this. That's sort of how I look on those records. I think we made bloody heavy weather of it.
Probably.
Quite a lot of it. But then, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I wasn't really aware that we tapped into something special at the time.
No. Possibly with care.
With care, yeah, actually.
Because
Yes.
it did all sort of magically come together after Tench had been. But actually, it wasn't as long as we actually remember it. We kind of think it took forever. But
Yeah.
actually,
No, it
in
does
terms
in my
of
head.
in terms
Years.
of in terms of studio time, I think I worked it out once. It was like 60 days,
All right.
which is still
Quite a long time.
10 days a track,
a
but
mini album.
But but there were a lot of stuff we made that was chucked out or was experimental and never survived, but was useful. Okay, last couple. Just for the sake of it, I always wondered why one of your trademark 80s songs, My Spine is the Bassline, never got a full remix or extended treatment. Especially as the recorded version seems to be faded out too early somehow. Was this an attempt at commercial suicide?
Unconsciously.
Been
perhaps.
rumbled.
Our MO.
No, I think we threw a lot of stuff at My Spine.
Yeah.
There were
lots of remixes of it as well.
there aren't. I
I
don't
think
think.
there's one,
Well,
isn't there? But that's
The
just like an
Carlo.
extension of the beginning.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. There's the song itself. We did put lots and lots of stuff on that multi-track. A lot of which can be heard on Tiny Birds, which was the B-side, which is sort of instrumental version of everything else that's not in the song on the Groove. So that's lots of other stuff and feedback guitars and Carlo Asciuti ranting and raving, which we gradually distilled out of the version that was the song.
Yeah.
So,
but I think they're talking about the actual arrangement.
yeah,
We're thinking about it, really. We could have gone in. I mean, in the end,
Yeah,
we ended up doing a live version of it in which the thing was actually extended and
yeah,
went into other sections and then came back to the end and did all that stuff, which really we could have easily kind of booked a couple of days in the rehearsal room and done, but
yeah.
that was not how we rolled.
No. Yeah, it's a botched suicide attempt then. Damn it.
Watch Suicide Pact.
Has the groove changed with time, or is the groove timeless? And only those who bring us the groove are subject to the ravages of time.
Thank you, Steve Rose.
Thank you, Steve Rose, for noting that we are subject to the ravages of time. The groove is timeless.
Yeah, I would say the groove's timeless.
You're the groove, Mark.
Yeah,
What
timeless.
do you reckon?
It was then and it is now.
So shall ever be.
Do you ever rest from writing songs between albums, or is it an ongoing thing like When the Muse Strikes?
Well, we've spent the last day or so in the studio attempting to write new material for the 14th album.
Which answers the next question, actually. Any plans for the next one?
Oh, okay.
So,
Yes, we're on it. But at the moment we haven't got anything that's song-like. But we are
Yes.
amassing quite a lot of groove and sort of textural material. So yeah, I guess at some point me and Carl will think of some stupid words and stick them on.
that's what we do.
Well, if they don't, I'm going home. I'm not playing drums all day and coming up with grooves. It's nothing, you know.
He's a martyr. He is.
Had enough. Is there a couple more?
No, I can finish now.
You are finished.
No,
No,
finish.
no. Da. Seems I recall when Big Night Music was first released, there was a contest to guess what Pretty Little Things was about.
Oh yeah, I remember that contest.
I wasn't there.
No, you weren't there. It was just like the distillation of things that are small and pretty. And the idea was to miniaturize the music in line with the subject matter. So so I've been listening to some Eskimo music, in which because of the conditions in which it's created, they don't really have drum heads or big lumps of wood to hollow out to make sounding balls and the rest of it. So everything's very toppy. So the idea was to do something like that. There's sort of no bass end and lots of things going. And so so my voice goes falsetto and everything's it was the idea of a kind of sort of pervy miniaturist little alpine garden of a tune, I suppose, with a thing that sounds like a whoopee cushion on the end for some reason.
Who would you most like to collaborate with, and why?
I think I'd like to do a record with Lee Perry, actually. I think
Pretty good.
if it was on a good day, from Lee's point of view, I think that might be fantastic. But I suppose mostly just to sort of watch the master at work rather than to actually sort of complete anything necessarily.
Mark, you got any dream
Well,
collaborations?
yeah, but I mean, you know, Brian Eno, Peter Gabriel, I'd love to do something because they're sort of. I'm very passionate about atmosphere, really, and I don't really care about the length of songs that much, really, and I think these people kind of stretch out a bit for me, you know, deeply rooted rhythmical and soundscapes, which I really love, you know. So I think those two people would be wonderful to make a record with. and they just let me be in charge of everything. They just watch me do it and say whether they like it or not. But then they could add something else later, which is
It's
really
an offer you
exciting.
can't refuse, Brian, isn't it?
No.
I think our people approached Brian's people at one point.
Did they?
Yeah. And I think there was a very ambiguous reply to the effect, something like, "I don't think I can help you," which could be taken as either "you're doing fine as you are,"
without me,
or "you're doomed anyway and I can never rescue you."
He was going to. We got as far as a meeting when it was with XTC. Eno came down and we sort of talked about doing, I think, the second album with him.
Okay.
And he said pretty much the same thing.
Right.
So I really like your band. It's great stuff, but I'm not sure what I could add to it really. Have we been like really nicely brushed off, or does he mean it, or I don't know.
Well, Peter Gabriel said to me when he came to see Shriekback playing Moles, he just couldn't stop dancing.
Oh,
So I thought it was fantastic.
I wish I'd seen that.
Says he was moving around all the time, but maybe he's just moving around to avoid people recognising him.
He's just causing trouble, buffeting into people.
Spilling
Oh, it's Gabriel's in the house.
my
again.
pint.
Oh, fuck. Gabriel's here. It's kicking off.
PJ Harvey would be fantastic to do something with.
Mm.
I think she's fantastic. Kate Bush. They're very beautiful
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
They got their heads screwed on as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
They could be really nice to
I'm
work.
watching you.
Oh dear.
It's hard to put one on, just one person. Sorry, next
Sorry.
question.
Increasing your session Rolodex, actually.
Yeah. It's not your personal LinkedIn page, Martin.
Shut up, slut.
Shriekback seems to be a sort of two-headed beast, in that it has two frontmen lead vocalists. To make matters more confusing, the vocal style and delivery of the two is very similar. To make it worse, a live concert video I saw featured Barry alone on lead vocal. How do you decide who is taking lead vocal on a studio track or on stage? Is it completely interchangeable for you? And why would you confuse us so? We needed... we just followed the commercial model of the Beatles, really.
That's right.
It seemed to work for
There
them.
you
We
go.
thought,
There you go.
there's the
Go
money,
for it.
let's follow the money. What's the problem? No, I don't know. It kind of emerged accidentally. I think we were probably looking for singers at one point, and then there
Yes.
weren't any.
Yes, it was the post-Emma.
Yeah,
Time,
so
isn't it?
kind of we had to do it. And we just sort of work on songs individually and collaborate on them, but really the sort of mostly the lyrical bits and then the vocal are set once we grab the song.
Yeah. And the live concert stuff was because Carl had left the band then, so we were going out on the road singing some of Carl's songs. So there was only me doing it, so that's why it's just me.
I think that's right.
Yeah, okay.
I
That
feel
was that.
okay. Last question, I believe. I feel psychedelics changed the face of music. I really believe your sound has those roots also. Care to comment, elaborate?
I think I definitely did have an acid experience in Marlborough when I was 16 with a local band called Orpheus, and I guess I was kind of steeped in gritty, blokey rock and roll, and they were doing something kind of stranger and more ethereal, and it was very exciting. So we all took acid and we all played, and nothing was ever quite the same again. I think there's a way of looking at things, a way of hearing sounds, I suppose, which I found at that point, and subsequently I think very much through reggae, kind of consolidated, and the idea of nobody's bothered how fast you can play the guitar, or what an intricate drum rhythm that is. It's all about this kind of experience. It's almost like almost like eating something, or being bathed in the light of something. It's a very sensual kind of experience in music, in which there's no. It's not like an ego-based thing, and it would see if somebody tried to sort of show off within this kind of context, it would just be sort of strange and inexplicable. Why would you want to mess with this atmosphere? Atmosphere, I suppose. Yeah.
I think the drug now is the technology. It's the advance of technology and sounds. I think it's fantastic now. Incredibly more psychedelic now than those in the early days. I mean, it's fantastic, amazing.
I'm reminded of the.
You can be
the
really
line
natural and drink tea and be out there,
when Homer Simpson's doing his thing with the Simpsons and the sort of depraved family, and in an idea of them in a future kind of TV program about their rise to fame and eventual sort of dissolution. And Homer says, fame was like a drug, but what was even more like a drug were the drugs.
And on that note,
okay.
I think we finished.
Okay, thanks for paying attention, everybody out there.
Bye.
Going back to the studio now. Latest.
Coming down.